Hi, Professor. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
Yes, Professor. We can begin with the live session now.
Um, a very good morning to all of you. So hope you all can see my screen. Yeah. Good morning, Eunice. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. Good morning, Jyotishman. Sunday mornings are usually hectic than normal days. Okay. When all are at home. Oh my God. 360-degree work. Right. So with that, again, we are going to discuss on inventory management, today being session 3. So far we saw about the forecasting techniques in detail, in which the first session we saw about the qualitative forecasting, the methods under that like market research, panel consensus, Delphi and all that. Then we moved on to quantitative demand forecasting yesterday, which we were discussing on the methods under quantitative, that is the time series and the causal methods, and where appropriately these methods needs to be utilized in business scenarios. So we start with that. And as I always used to say, forecasting is like setting precedence for all your supply chain activities, because you need to understand what is that you're going to produce, how much you're going to produce, when are you going to produce. So to give you a proper plan of action for your production, like production planning and control mechanisms, you need a proper forecasting result in hand. Otherwise, like in the beer game also, you all might have experienced, those who have not done the trial run so far. So please take it up today. By today, you all need to finish off your trial run. So tomorrow onwards, the final run will be open. So make use of the trial run, right? So if you're missing out, you may end up in playing only one run, which will be accounted as your final run, right? So like in your beer game also, forecasting plays a major role, which is going to result in either overstocking or understocking. And striking a balance between these two plays a vital role in any business, because ultimately in any business we all wanted to cut the cost, especially in supply chain, because the logistics cost, which plays a major role in supply chain, is an intangible cost. You cannot tell the customer that I have airlifted your product, so you need to pay extra. No customer is going to agree for that, unless and until it is a very extreme case, emergency situation and all that, right? So that is why supply chain as a function and the manufacturing as a sector wanted to keep the supply chain costs to the minimal, and the what are all the activities associated in keeping the cost less will be taken up by this function on the whole. So on that notion, we saw about the forecasting techniques. And today we are going to see about inventory, which is very crucial for any business. Even Tim Cook of Apple was saying that inventory is a necessary evil. So see the words, necessary evil. It is very much required to hold inventory, but at the same time, it becomes a bothering factor when it exceeds certain limitation as well. So you are compelled to hold the optimum level of inventory. So that is why the session is being named as inventory optimization. It is neither high nor low, because having high inventory, you will end up in incurring inventory cost. Having low inventory, you will end up losing your customer, because today's customer are in the, most of them fall in the impulse buying category, doesn't want to wait for a longer period of time to get their products. So just go. So during my college days and all, at the most we used to buy some cool drink worth rupees 5 or 10 as impulse, so without planning. So now today's generation, you all know, even we, so even we have been we upgraded ourselves, went on to that level, like even mobile phones worth rupees 40-50,000 we just buy without planning. So that means the entire buying behavior of the customer has had a drastic shift. And one thing which businesses needs to understand from this shift in customer buying behavior is their impatience. None of us wanted to wait for a longer period of time. We go to any shop asking for any specific toothpaste, book, or even a shampoo. If it is not available, either we switch over to the brand or else we switch over the shop. None of us wanted to wait for a longer period of time to get the same brand or to buy from the same shop, right? So that is today's scenario, and which has to be very keenly monitored and observed by today's business entities. So for that, to retain the customer, inventory becomes very crucial. But on the other hand, inventory is cost aspect also. From the aspect of cost, if you view, inventory is a bothering factor, not only from the cost perspective, but also the other perspective, like the raw material or the product becoming redundant, becoming expired, getting depleted, the fashion getting changed. All these are other factors which is also a bothering factor for holding inventory. So that is what we are going to see today, how to strike the right balance in holding the quantity, when you should reorder, what is the reorder level. All these are the things which we are going to discuss today, right? So with that briefing again, let's move on to, right. So of course, you all know what is inventory. It is an asset. It is a stock. In normal terms, if you want to call it, that is a stock. It is obviously it is an asset as well, because inventory, sold, unsold, whatever it is, it will contribute directly to your balance sheet. It is an integral part of your balance sheet, and it can be realized for revenue generation of obviously whatever type of inventory you hold, whether it is the raw material or the work in progress or the finished goods. It is going to generate revenue for you or for your business in any case. And of course, it is ultimately meant for sales in the market. So basically, it is a stock which one needs to hold for their business, to make sales or to make production, ultimately to reach the customer's hand. Like, for example, newspaper is inventory, but the cycle used to deliver the newspaper is an asset, right? So newspaper, if it is left unsold, yes, it becomes a stock, finished goods inventory. So how we are going to raise revenue out of that? So paper industry is, of course, we have a recycling possibility. For other industry, it becomes very tough and difficult to manage finished unsold inventory, right? In a manufacturing business, so here all raw materials used to prepare the cookies as well as the finished cookies are all your inventory. So the dough, the ghee, the atta, the maida, whatever you are using to make the cookies, they are raw material inventory. And when the the production function happens, it is work in progress inventory. And when the cookies are rolled out for sales purpose, so that is a finished goods inventory till it gets sold out. So in a service industry, actually, this inventory has to be viewed from a different perspective. See here, even at least in a product, either it is a cookies or a newspaper or a shampoo or a soap, whatever it is, paste, whatever it is, the unsold product is still a physical inventory here when it comes to a product, goods. But in the service sector, the unsold room or an unoccupied room or an unsold service, a spa service or a massage service, that cannot be held because that is unseen. It is not tangible here. The vacant room is not tangible here. The problem here is the next day or the next weeks to come, you cannot sell it doubly, right? So since yesterday it was vacant, so next day it cannot be sold at a double rate, or you cannot go in for double occupancy. That is the problem that lies with service inventory. So that is why most of the time this airline industry, this hotel industry, and they make the utmost potential out of the demand. So whenever there is demand, so the demand again is going to be very volatile here in the service industry. When there is peak demand, the price also increases. So that is how they compensate the days when it was lying vacant or the airline services were not utilized. Because in airline industry, especially if 100 is the seating capacity of an air carrier, even if 50 is booked, it has to fly. But then if it is fully occupied, the revenue generated out of that is going to be more. But it is the same fuel you are going to incur if you are flying empty or half empty or full. So that is why the prices are highly volatile as far as the service industry is considered, and especially the inventory associated with the service industry. Okay, right. So before moving forward, let us understand what are the different types of industry so that it becomes easier for us to calculate the inventory and give due importance for every different type of inventory. On the whole, every inventory is a stock, right? Raw material inventory, as I told you, anything, any spares, components, your raw material used for cookie manufacturing, cool drink manufacturing, juice manufacturing, any spares or components that are ingredients that goes into the final product is a raw material inventory. And here is where one needs to understand how much to order, when to order, which we'll be seeing in the later slides. So what should be the level of inventory? See, for car, when you are manufacturing a car, thousands and thousands of spares goes inside a car, right? Spares and components goes inside a car. But then there are different level and different number of products that goes from the same variety. For example, only one engine goes inside a car. But when you talk about the nuts and bolts, plenty of nuts and bolts goes inside a car. Again, 5 tires goes inside a car, 5 seats goes inside a car. So the number of components under each category that goes inside a car differs to a greater extent. So it becomes mandatory for you to fix up different safety stock levels for different type of raw materials and components that goes inside the finished product. You cannot afford to maintain same level of maybe 5% or 10% as safety stock for all the different line of raw materials that goes inside your final product. So that we will understand how safety stock is being ascertained and maintained, okay, in later slide. Then it is the components. Yeah, raw materials, spares, components, all these are the ones that is the raw material category of raw material inventory that goes inside the finished product. Then work in progress is the next. So when you are manufacturing the car, you are manufacturing the cookies. So when the process is going on, when the assembly line process is going on, so that is called as work in progress inventory. So for example, you want to roll out 100 units of car per day. So from maybe shift 1, you are starting the production, and maybe in the shift 3 or in the same shift 2, you are finishing off the production, rolling out 100 units of car. So that is called as work in progress. So whatever you are utilizing for that assembly line, for that production process, so that is called work in progress. If it is 100 units of finished products you wanted to roll out, the 100 units plus your safety stock, whatever you wanted to maintain, keeping all the Six Sigma components in mind. So that is going to be your work in progress inventory, right? So finished good, yes, once you roll out the finished goods, whether it is an apparel or a car or a cookie, ready to be sold. A final product has got its final shape and ready to go to market for sales. So that is called as finished goods inventory. So we have one more category, which is also we call as MRO inventory. So maintenance, repair, and operation. All these, the category of products that fall under this will be supporting the function of your manufacturing or services. for maintenance. For example, you have a manufacturing sector, the assembly line is there, and you need to maintain the equipments, the machineries, what are there. If you incur any repair, so that has to be maintained. If you have a lift there in your facility, that has to be maintained, which is also supporting your manufacturing function. So anything during your process of production or service you are incurring towards maintenance, repairing, and operations are called as MRO inventory. See, this also is very, very crucial, since this is coming as a support activity for your main production or service function. Very, very important. See, if any machinery gets repaired, so that is stopping your entire assembly line. So for which your repair, your spares required to repair the product is very, very crucial. That also needs to be maintained. So may not be happening so very frequently, but then when you are doing your maintenance properly, you can minimize the repair to a greater extent. Okay. So next is the packing and packaging industry materials. So that is also a very important inventory. That too, especially when we talk about the e-commerce sector, which is ensuring the last mile delivery. Packing and packaging is very crucial for that sector. So obviously for any other sector also, except for car, it doesn't come with a intact package and all that. But rest all the products, whether it's a toothpaste you buy, or whether it is electronic items you buy, or electric items you buy, anything you buy, it comes along with packaging. So when you are taking up the production, so you also need to ensure that what is going to be the packing material and how much inventory you should hold. Obviously, at par with the number of products you are producing, you also need to hold the packing inventory, packing material inventory. So that has to go along with the product. So again, that is one type of inventory. Then safety stock and anticipation stock. So inventory itself is a stock. So what is going to be the difference between safety stock and inventory, normal inventory? The safety stock is an additional stock, extra stock, whatever you are holding to meet any emergency situation, any crisis situation and all that. So for example, again, if you want to roll out 100 units of product per day, fine. All the raw materials that goes inside that 100 units may not be intact or may not be in right condition. So maybe wear and tear will be there. Some pilferages will be there. So to avoid that, you will be maintaining a safety stock, maybe 5 or 10 extra, 5 or 10% extra. How that has to be calculated, we'll see that later. And here what happens is, not only on that, you also need to keep the lead time in mind. So once you place the order, how much time does your supplier takes to supply the stock to you? So does it require 5 days or 10 days or 1 week or 1 month? So based on that, you are compelled to hold or increase the level of safety stock you hold for your production. So what happened during the pandemic? Semiconductor. So we all had a very big semiconductor crisis, so which delayed the delivery of cars to the customers and all that. So that is the lead time which is taking, or which that product is consuming to reach the assembly line. So if months and months together takes for a particular product to reach the production site itself, facility itself, then imagine how much time is it going to take to roll out the finished product. So that is where you will decide on the safety stock level, considering the demand from the customer end. Demand you will take into consideration from the downstream supply chain. How is the demand? If the demand is more, you need to increase the safety stock level. Again, if the lead time is also more, accordingly, your demand times the lead time should be your safety stock, both put together. So that is for you to ensure that your production is not interrupted anyway between. Right? So that is your safety stock calculation. We'll see later. The decoupling inventory. So decoupling inventory also is one type of safety stock. So the difference between the safety stock and decoupling inventory is, so here what happens, the spares, the nuts, bolts and all that. See, even in your house, if you are hammering something, you want to hang a wall clock or any wall hanging, and you are looking for a name. See, normally it is not going to be in use on a regular basis. But then at times you may require it suddenly. For that, you will be holding some stock. So that is what organizations also will be doing. The decoupling inventory mostly will be in the form of the raw materials and components as a safer side. So beyond safety stock, this is safety stock is normally calculated and kept on hold. This decoupling inventory, if there is going to be a sudden demand, you anticipate that there is going to be a sudden surge in demand, anticipate that and hold the inventory. So that is called as decoupling inventory. So now, very recently, you all know about the tomato prices. Suddenly it shot up. So normally a supermarket or a departmental store storing inventory based on the demand, that is safety stock. So here, if there is going to be a sudden spike in demand, sudden lockdown is going to get announced, sudden war situation is going to break up. So anticipating that some contingency is going to happen and holding an additional set of inventory is called as decoupling inventory. And this decoupling inventory, yes, we'll see on cycle inventory. When I'll come back to decoupling inventory after cycle inventory. The cycle inventory is the normal rotational inventory which you will be using for day-to-day operations. If suppose I wanted to produce 100 units of product, so this goes on and on. 100 units of raw material which is put into production and it rolls as a finished product. And again, a next set of 100 units of raw materials come. So this will be added with the safety stock, whatever you hold. For example, you are holding 1 liter milk in your refrigerator. The next day you are buying 1 more liter of milk, right? So the previous day, 1 liter milk, you have exhausted 500 ml and left out 500 you have. So today's stock, again, it has come 1 liter. So obviously, what will you do? 1 liter is your usage. So on a rotation, you are using that. But previous day, since you have left outside, 500 ml is still lying down. So obviously, what you will do is first you consume the 500 ml and then top up with the fresh stock of 1 liter. So that is what will be done in the cycle inventory. On a day-to-day basis, the inventory goes on and on. It gets rotated, and whatever new stock, if it comes, the earlier stock from the safety stock, you can't say that that is my safety stock, I'm not going to touch that, right? So that will be taken into utility usage and then it will go on and on. So that is called a cycle inventory. And here, so when the cycle inventory, often that is getting replenished, especially anticipating the market changes, the hike or decrease in demand. Based on that, when you do it, so that is called as decoupling inventory. So based on the market condition, you anticipate there is going to be sudden demand or decrease in demand, and accordingly you plan your stock, an emergency and a sudden requirement. So those are the things we call as the decoupling inventory. And cycle inventory, on a normal routine day-to-day operations, you will be holding the stock. Service industry is what we spoke earlier also. So it is very difficult to measure exactly. Obviously, it is intangible and it cannot be preserved and kept for future usage. So once exhausted, once the day is exhausted, the vacant room is exhausted, the airline travel is exhausted. So that cannot be replenished, but then how you can compensate it is with the price changes only there. So that is the disadvantage in service inventory. The transit inventory is when your goods are in transit. Both the ways it will happen. Inbound logistics as well as outbound logistics. Inbound, when you procure raw materials from your suppliers, the transit inventory, raw material transit inventory, that is called as transit inventory, inbound transit inventory. And when you send off the finished products to the market, so that is the outbound transit inventory till it reaches the retail unit and then it gets sold. Okay. So theoretical inventory, on the other hand, is a physical inventory. Usually this is used in the food and production sector. For example, if you are fixing a marriage, right? So maybe 2 or 3 months later, and you are booking a catering service for that. The caterer will obviously ask you how many are expected. So maybe 1,000, 2,000. Accordingly, he is going to plan for making food or making any other arrangements, making the tables ready, anything, any related arrangement he needs to plan and understand. So first, when you say 1,000 are expected, so this is what he will calculate. Keeping 1,000 in mind, he will write, he will enter into the books of accounts. So that is what is called as theoretical inventory. Plus or minus will happen ultimately when it comes to an end. But as such, this is the theoretical inventory, which the restaurants also, how restaurants plan. Nobody goes or visits a restaurant always with prior booking, right? So you just walk inside a restaurant. How are they going to anticipate that this is going to be the footfall? Obviously, they have a logic. During weekdays, it is going to be less, and weekends, it is going to be more. So that is what is called as theoretical inventory. Physical inventory, what they have. So maybe to make 100 dosas or 100 pizza, what batter should I have exactly? So that is called as physical and theoretical inventory. Always you need to have excess inventory. So when we do not call it as excess inventory exactly. When you have excess inventory, that is obviously called as a safety stock. Extra stock which you are holding to meet any contingency, any emergency, or to replace any product that is malfunctioning or is repaired, anything related to that. So these are all the different types of industry. Having understood this, it will be easier for us to proceed further. So is it clear? Any doubt for you all? Can we proceed? Fine. Okay, Jyotishma. Right, Sash. Fine. So these are invariably typical different types of inventory. But for a basic understanding, this is fine. So if you just understand 3 types of inventory, that is raw material, work in progress, and finished goods. So because whatever we saw earlier also will go and sit under any of these 3 categories only. So to broadly classify inventory, it is categorized under 3 heads only. So raw material inventory, the basic spares, components, ingredients, the work in progress inventory during the production, then finally finished goods. So when the product is rolled out for sales purpose. So these are the basic types of inventory. So to fasten up ourselves, to buckle up and have some energy, shall we have a quick rapid fire quiz to understand which type of inventory is this? Can we have all of you participating in that? Right. Yes, Jyotishma, that's the spirit. Okay, you are going to tell me now. Having items like lubricants, coolants, gloves, nuts, and bolts add inventory under which category? That's great. Fine. It is raw material inventory. All of you are right. So lubricants, coolants, gloves, nuts, bolts, right? So cookie manufacturer sends the packed cookies to the market for sale. So what type of inventory? He sends to the market for sale. Okay, so it is finished goods inventory. He sends the packet for sale. So you also finished goods in transit inventory. So both are correct. It is finished goods inventory, but still in transit till it reaches the market. You are correct. So cookie manufacturer, the third one. Cookie manufacturer stocks milk, sugar, flour, and other items to be used for manufacturing. Raw material inventory, you are correct. Yes, that is raw material inventory. All of you are correct. Fourth one, cookie manufacturer having additional pieces of molded dough to be sent for baking. Additional pieces of molded dough. So is it MRO? No, it is work in progress. It is safety stock, right? That is extra inventory. That is a safety stock, and that is a work in progress. Broadly, if you want to categorize, so that is work in progress inventory. Correct. It is kept as a safety stock, additional stock, right? So cookie manufacturer holding additional inventory to meet exigencies in supply, your upstream supply. So that is a safety stock, correct? Broadly classified as the safety stock. So because you will always design or keep the safety stock level, keeping the lead time and demand into consideration. Yeah, you can give any name, excess inventory, safety stock. Otherwise, in supply chain terms, we call it a safety stock. You are right. So last one, raw material ordered to by cookie manufacturer are yet to reach the manufacturer but have left the supplier. Correct. In transit inventory, it is inbound in transit inventory. Correct. Ankit, you are exactly right. Perfect. So it is inbound in transit inventory. So good. Well performed, all of you. So hope you all are live, attentive in the class. Yes, fine. You all are right. Correct. So now we all understood how under different heads inventory is being classified. Right. Having understood the different types of inventory, why is it given so much of importance? So what will happen if I'm not giving due emphasis for holding the level of inventory, a correct level of respective level of inventory? So the outcome, the output is going to be the bullwhip effect. So which we discussed during our briefing session for the simulation also. A small change that is happening from the customer end, change in buying behavior, is going to cause huge frictions across the supply chain. And when it goes to your manufacturer, so he will be left with piles and piles of inventory. So that is very crucial situation, which is very difficult for a manufacturer to overcome. On the contrary, on the other hand, if it is the other way around, if he is going to hold less stock, then there is always a threat. That is a low hanging sword that the customer will leave him and go away. So it is striking a balance between understocking and overstocking. So understocking, what happens? Demand exceeds, lost margin and lost customer. It's very threatful situation. That is why even in your simulation, more cost is attached to backlogs. So that is understocking situations. And half the cost of that is being attached to inventory situation. That is overstocking. The stock will exceed the demand, liquidation, obsolescence, holding cost. How and why these companies are going in for outright sales, buy one, get one sale, end of season sales. So usually when I used to hang around in Sarojini Nagar market in Delhi, during March, I used to think that. So it's all the cardigans and sweaters will be for throwaway prices. I always used to think that this is a durable product, so why can't they store it? Because during end of season, when you go, normally if it is going to be 500, 600 bucks, you can just buy it for 150 or 200 bucks during end of season, right? I always used to think, so why can't they hold it? Anyway, this is not a perishable product. It can be held safely and sold in the next season. But then the loading and unloading charges, the security, the safety charges, the storage cost. So all these will mount up or pile up more than the cost of what normally they are going to incur. So otherwise, I'll put it the other way. So instead of keeping it and selling the next season for again 500, 600, it is better to sell it off for 150 or 200 bucks. Otherwise, they are going to spend more than 300, 400 rupees per unit for storage, loading and unloading, warehousing, all these logistics costs towards everything. So that is why they go in for the discounted sales and end of season sale to minimize the cost associated with that. So how we have to fulfill this or balance this overstocking and understocking situation is always by matching the supply with your demand. What is the demand and how you're going to match the supply? If the demand decreases, obviously you need to bring down your supplies also, since there is less demand in the market. When the demand increases, that is where you have to wake up. It's a wake up call for you. You need to work upon, you need to speeden up your production process, roll out more number of units to meet the market demand. Otherwise, there is always a threat Since now choices are more. See what Kia did when they entered the market in 2019. So it was record breaking booking. So MG, Kia, both of them entered in the same period. Both their servers crashed because of excess bookings. So what they had to do, they had to go back, and of course they have a planned capacity to produce 3 lakh cars per year. Only thing is what they can do is they can speed it up, they can put into multiple shifts, but still the slab is going to be producing 3 lakh cars. So there is more demand in the market. One way what they did is they went back, they operated multiple shifts and they rolled out multiple units of car. But still the waiting period is more comparatively off late. Fine. So they are working out. That is because of the semiconductor issue that is happening now and other associated factors as well. So this is what one need to plan. One business need to plan how to match the demand as well as the supply, right? So once this is done, you can very well have the inventory under your control. Obviously, you can minimize the cost implications as well. Okay, so there's a beautiful case on Amul on how they planned their inventory, aggregate planning and inventory planning, especially during the pandemic. So these are real life lessons for us. So how these companies literally in the field have planned their inventory matching with the demand that is arising in the market. So after this case study, we are going to see about the inventory classification techniques and the workout, Excel workouts, right? 1 second. Yeah. So please stop me when you all need a break. Maybe after this case study, we'll take a break and then after that, we'll come back and do all the workouts, right? Fine. So one heavily impacted industry due to the pandemic, that is COVID-19, was and the lockdown was the dairy industry. Why? Because the shelf life. The shelf life of these products are very, very short and small. So this industry as a whole cannot afford to go inside a lockdown for a longer duration of time, right? So every day they have to deplete or exhaust the stock since it is a dairy product. So it costed 112.3 crores every single day of lockdown for this entire industry on the whole. And Amul increased their revenues, but on the contrary, Amul increased their revenues by 698 crores. So the entire dairy industry facing a nightmare situation and everyday losses more than 100 crores. But in spite of that, how Amul alone was able to excel and make 698 crores. And moreover, not only that, the surprising factor here is on over and above the existing line of products, they introduced 33 more new products to the market, especially during the pandemic. And they procured additional 35 lakhs of milk extra every day. So procuring additional number of milk is a raw material here, milk, and introducing 33 more new products, generating more revenue than their counterparts, especially during the pandemic, and paying 800 crores extra to the rural milk producers of India. So all these were the surprising factors, but literally happened as far as Amul is concerned. How did they do? What did they do? Yeah, everyone was at home and government asked everyone to drink turmeric milk, which increased demand of milk. Wonderful, Nilesh, correct. Your guess is 100% right. And that was what Mr. Rupinder Sodhi also thought, anticipated very beautifully. Correctly, he forecasted that there is going to be increase in demand for dairy products, especially milk. So that is the crux of this case study, which correctly was encashed by Amul, right? So that's what I have told here, that their extraordinary inventory planning during the contingency. Many business cut down their business, especially because most of them were catering to restaurants, hotel business and all that. So 20% of the revenue for all these dairy producers were coming from the restaurant businesses, but all the restaurants were closed down. So it was a panic situation for them. But Amul too, initially it dropped to 10 to 15 percentage, that sales revenue dropped. But then quickly they wrapped up, they understood the situation, as Nilesh also rightly said. So they understood all are going to stay indoors. But then what are they going to eat? We can't live without eating. So we can live without eating outside, but somehow we need to uh, eat food, right? So that was correctly predicted by Amul. So when other companies decreased milk procurement, decreased logistics cost and decreased production, so Amul increased everything. So when they took this move, farmers also were left in dangerous situation. And you all, when you go back and recollect, so lot many forwarded messages, WhatsApp messages, we also saw during those days, like all the farmers like spilling the milk on the road, because you cannot stop milking the cow. So you can stop production, but what will happen if you can't stop milking the cow? That has to happen. Sorry. So that process has to happen, but farmers didn't have any alternative to reach the milk, which they have milk from the cow, to the processing units or to the cooperative societies. So that also was considered by Amul. So what Amul did, or how Amul planned, loss in demand versus surge in demand. Say loss in demand from the restaurant business, but surge in demand is going to happen from the customer's household, consumer's household business. So that was the change in consumer behavior. All of us were in a panicky situation. So it was very scary, new of its kind, to new experience to all of us. Never in our life also we have encountered lockdown or faced such situations. So everything was new, and the name of the virus or and the messages that floats in the social media. So we all are very closely knitted in the social media. So during those times, I stopped watching news for some while. So it was every channel you open, every media news you see, it was so very scary, right? So that was the situation. And the household consumption of the milk products skyrocketed. All of us were so scared to go outside, and eating outside is far more away. So we refrained from eating outside food for a longer period of time. So that is where all of us entered kitchen. Men in the family entered kitchen. They wanted to test different food items, a category of items, different, very different ones. So what and all floated in the social media, right? All of us experimented that in the kitchen. And that was correctly forecasted, predicted by Mr. Rupinder Sodhi, the then MD of Amul. So he anticipated that there is going to be increase in demand, and also this pandemic is going to be there for a while, and he increased the capacity of all his facilities, production units, right? Okay, so SC function, his supply chain function at full capacity, with due focus on their inventory levels also. Never they allowed to go or reach the dead stock level. They were replenishing the inventory periodically. So what happened is, the demand for cheese increased by 80%, demand for cottage cheese increased by 40%, demand for condensed milk 100%. Okay, all of us wanted to store the milk at home, because sometimes you go out, you won't get the milk packet. So better alternative option, the milk powder and the condensed milk was brought and always kept in the fridge for emergency usages. So Amul planned for operating at 115% capacity. How is that possible beyond 100%? What they did was, they hired the vacant facilities from other milk producers. So for them, they got the rent. And for Amul, it was the production that was happening in full capacity. So they hired it, and that those vacant facilities also were used for their production. And except for their ice cream division, all the other divisions were functioning at full capacity. Ice creams, you all know, all of us became very, very health conscious. And since fever was one of the symptoms for COVID, all of us wanted to avoid cold items. So we never went and touched juices or ice cream. So that too was rightly understood by Amul, and the ice cream production unit was converted into any other, like a cheese or a dairy or a milk production unit during that period, right? And moving through truck, so that is one more challenge for them. So one side, production planning, inventory planning and all that, I need to hold my inventory at the fullest level all the time. But the other side, they had a biggest challenge on reaching the products to the market. So one side, it has to be procured from the farmers, that is inbound logistic. And once you finish off, you produce the product, the finished products has to reach to the market. In both the ways, they were finding it very difficult because drivers were not available. So operating the trucks was a very great challenge for them. So what they did during that period was they shifted from the trucks to railways. So that also was utilized as one of the mode of transportation. And since dairy products come under the emergency requirements, essential category, government also supported movement of these products to a greater extent. So ultimately, it was 18,700 societies, 5,000 milk tankers going to 200 chilling stations, 10,000 distributors, 1 million retailers, and 3.6 million farmers were involved and also benefited in all these operations altogether, right? So not only that, this also was possible because of a strategic partnership which they signed with IBM IT services in the year 2009. So they bought this, they signed an agreement and bought a software from IBM, which was very clearly uh, revealing the inventory levels and the idle capacities. Idle capacity, wherever the idle capacity is, and what should be the exact inventory level. So that was revealing that, and which long back they signed with IBM as an agreement. So they invested 80 crores then, and that was proving very good results during the pandemic time. So it was a full-fledged digital system, and to track every small details of operations in Amul's supply chain. And similar to tracking with Amazon, management team was able to find out capacity of each plant, which plant, how much capacity it has. And likewise, they found out that how they can utilize the ice cream manufacturing plant, what is the capacity of that, and converted that into producing some other dairy product which was more in demand from the market. So this system helped to a great extent during the lockdown, and that is where the milk vertical was overloaded vis-a-vis the ice cream and frozen foods. So that was shut down. Operations of ice creams and frozen foods were shut down, and those facilities were utilized for producing some other products, milk products, which were high in demand. Okay, and labor storage trucks were with idle capacity. That system was able to identify which storage unit, which truck is with idle capacity. So they were able to deploy that vehicle and that labor appropriately in the required space, right? And yeah, end-to-end digitalization they did, and resulted in cash incentives. So obviously, when you are performing or operating with excess capacity, and yeah, excess labor, overtime, incentives, all these were given to the workers. That was the time when in other industries or similar industry, other brands, they were laying off workers, but then Amul, wonderfully, they were doing business also by retaining their own workers, giving additional incentives for them. Workers were given very nice care. They were given accommodation, food, during such situations, taken care very well. And not only them, they were taking care of the farmers also, because if not for the farmers, how they are going to procure milk? And for farmers, it was difficult for them to get or procure cattle feed because pandemic everywhere. So Amul arranged cattle feed for farmers also. So all the farmers, those were supplying milk to Amul, were supplied with the cattle feed to support or increase their milk production. So farmers also were benefited. So they paid 800 crores extra to all the farmers, and they use third-party platform to sell their products also. So obviously they do now also. And in May 2020 alone, they sold 60,000 delivery orders through Zomato, 3 crores worth of Amul products in 200 cities. So that is a beautiful strategy by Amul. It originated from demand and inventory planning. So demand planning was very, very nicely identified, forecasted that there is going to be a surge in demand, and accordingly they came back and planned their production as well as their inventory levels. Inventory levels never dropped down during the pandemic situation, whereas in the other industry and for the other players, they had nil stock because production itself was not happening. So inventory levels also were not given due importance. So success secrets were end-to-end digitalization, signing an agreement with IBM. Then yes, incentivizing the labor forces, helping them, giving them additional bonus and incentives. Humongous investment in marketing. Yes, sustenance itself was a great challenge for other brands. But then Amul went one step forward, introduced 33 new products, and also invested more amount, that is 316% more compared to 2019 in their marketing initiatives. Again, if you just go back and recollect, that was the time all of us were in front of our televisions and all our old series were being retelecasted, like Ramayana, Mahabharata and all that. And in between those serials, so the old Amul ads, what they telecasted some 10-20 years back, were floated. So that also was very nostalgic. So this additionally, they didn't spend anything on generating new advertisement, but they beautifully planned here also and floated the same old advertisement, which again was very nostalgic for all of us, again attracted towards that brand. Fine, using extraordinary foresight. So proper inventory planning was done because proper demand planning was done. Proper inventory planning was a result of proper demand planning by Amul. Agile SCM, yes, they never shut down their unit for any duration of time during the pandemic. The agility in their SCM was one of the biggest success secrets during the pandemic time. And of course, digital transformation, signing with IBM, third-party collaborations. Yes, either you go and you have rented a facility for your production, or going and hiring more number of trucks to deliver your finished product, and going to multimodal, like using railways as a mode to deliver your product. They went in for all sorts of third-party collaboration, and labors were taken care of very well. And strategic marketing initiatives. Again, how I'm projecting my brand, how nicely, beautifully I plan and float my ads, and float more ads, especially during a program which is being watched by many of them during the pandemic. So all these were very, very renowned, very well discussed strategy of Amul, and how they faced and they came up during this crisis situation of pandemic. Not only sustaining survival, not only survival, but it is flourishing. Amul as a brand flourished. They went to another level during this pandemic by generating more revenue as well. Okay. So that was on the Amul's case study on demand and inventory planning. Inventory planning resulted due to good demand planning of Amul, right? So to do the same for our business also, we need to understand or classify our inventory properly. So unless and until we classify our inventory properly, you cannot plan the inventory levels or inventory control mechanisms. So the first step to address this inventory issue is to appropriately categorize the inventory into the respective heads. So that is what we are going to see now, classification of inventory. Shall we continue, or do you all need a break? We are exactly midway through. Okay, after a small break, we'll come and we'll understand the classification methods, and also we'll work out the Excel sheets, right? fine, a small break. Shall, shall we resume? Yeah, thank you, Eunice and Shashi. Even I'm back. Yeah, okay, fine. So as discussed before the break, we are just going to understand how firstly inventory can be classified. So only then after classification, as I told you earlier, so there are thousands of components that goes inside the car. And unless and until you classify them, you can't fix up a uniform level of safety stock or percentage of inventory to be held for entire range of components. So here, classification becomes an important step as far as inventory is considered. And basically, there are four types of or four methods of inventory classification and control. So first, let us classify, then we'll discuss about the control techniques, right? The basics one are ABC, VED, FSN, and XYZ classification. Like ABC classification, we categorize inventory under A, B, and C category of items. A category items, B category items, and C category items. How will we do that? A category items are high valued items. So mostly the inventory which has high value are brought under A category. The inventory that are moderate in value will be classified under B, and C category items are which are low in value. So here it is also about the Pareto principle, 80-20 principle. So that means 80% of volume of product contribute towards 20% of the value of item, and 20% of the volume of products contribute towards 80% of the value of those items. So that means engine only one goes inside the car, but the value of the engine is very, very high. So when you are doing ABC classification for the automobile sector or for classification of inventory for car manufacturer, then your A, that is your engine part, which is of very high value, will go and sit under the A category item. And so is the classification under B and C. But verbally, it is very difficult for us to say like this and categorize, right? So we need to have a threshold. We need to have some classification mechanism to put them under the respective category of A, B, and C. So let's see how that is being done. So we'll come to VED, FSN, and XYZ later. Let us go one by one. So this is what I was telling you. The A, B, C analysis is the best selling products which are of very high value, which generates more revenue to the unit on the whole, are called as A category items, and which are moderate in value and moderate sales, B category, and C is which are very less in value. This can be done for a finished goods. ABC analysis can be applied for a finished goods products in a retail unit to understand the level of sales also. Mostly, it is applied in the production unit in the manufacturing sector, where multiple components goes as raw material inside a finished good, and classify the inventory under A, B, and C category. Fine. So, okay. So it has, of course, its advantages and disadvantages. Like A category item, it helps one identify the stocks of high value, so that once you understand what is the high value item, engine is a high value item that goes inside a car, what you will do? What you will do after understanding, after classifying the inventory under A, B, and C? Only thing is, you will ensure strict control over A category item, a moderate one under B category item, and yes, C category items can be bought in larger quantities of inventory because they are very less in value, right? So nuts and bolts, for example. So when you classify the raw materials of auto manufacturer, nuts and bolts invariably comes and sits under C category item. You can go in for bulk purchases from the suppliers, buy in bulk, so that the cost advantage you will have. See, per unit cost of that product is going to come down when you are going to buy in bulk. So you can be little leisure in maintaining the inventory of C category item. That is the reason behind why you are doing A, B, C classification. So let's also see how we can do that exactly with the help of a matrix, right? I will take you to Excel. Right? Hope you all can see my screen. Right. Okay. So I have taken 10 products. So these are spares that goes inside a bike, right? Starter, belt, lights, bushes, bowls, bush kit, brake, inner tube, gasket, and handle. Right? These are the 10 items. And we also have the data of how much consumption is being made. So pieces per year, let us take this for a piece per year. So starter 40, belt 30, lights 50, accordingly it is being given here, number of pieces. And value of these pieces also we need to know. So only then the number consumed plus the value of the product together will give us the usage value, which will help us to classify the item under A, B, or C. Okay. So value of each piece also is given here, right? So ultimately you are getting the usage value, that is total value. This and this multiplied together, you are getting the total value of that product, usage value of that product throughout the year. Fine. So this is what we have got. So now once we have got this, what we have to do is to identify which among these are A category item, B category item, and C category item, right? So now to do that, you need to arrange them in the descending order. So highest first, total value first, and accordingly you bring down the lowest to the last. Then here it is the cumulative average you are finding out. Fine. Cumulative average, why we are finding out is to zero in to the percentage. So for the 100%, how much contribution of this product is towards that 100%? To find that out, we are understanding or we are calculating this cumulative value to find out the percentage contribution. Right? So this is cumulative 14 plus 10,000, 24,000, 24 plus 1,500, 25,500. So likewise you do. That is the total cumulated value for all the products you are finding it out. So with that, you are finding out the percentage contribution of that product towards the total value of all the products, right? So maybe the starter, you take that. So it is the usage value of starter is 14,000 multiplied by 100 because you need to find out the percentage divided by the total usage value of all the products. You are getting the percentage contribution of starter towards all the products. So that means it is 46.57%. And next it is light, which is contributing 33.3%. And these two things put together is contributing towards 80% of all the other items. And next you have your bushes, which is just 4.7% and 3.3%. These two takes up the total percentage to 88. Then you have belt, bolt, inner tube, gasket, bush kit, handle, all these contributing the respective percentage, right? 3, 2.7 and all that. So here, again, this depends the standardization, the fixing up of the percentages under A, B and C category is up to the industry. So you can fix up 20% for A category, 40 or 50% for B category, and left out 30% for C category also. This plus or minus in this ABC fixation, that is the standards, is up to the industry. Here they have gone with 20, 10 and 80, 10, 80, 8 and 12, right? So you can decide on that. It can be 80, 20, 70, 20, 10. It can be 60, 30, 10, or it can be 60, 20, 20, 60 to the A category, 20 to the B category, and 20 to the C category. So that level, as per the industry standards, you can decide it. But in general, the standard practice is 80, 20, wherein 80% of value of the products will come under the A category. So that's what we have also done here. The first, these two items coming directly contributing towards the 80% are categorized as A category item. Next, so 10, 10, they have gone with 80, 10 and 10. So here, these two items are contributing towards the left out moderate value 10%. Here, if you see this C category item, which is contributing 3%, and see the difference between the next B category item. It is just 0.3, right? And here again, the difference is 0.3, 0.3. So if you feel that, but here again, the difference is 0.7. If you feel that all of these are coming under a same category, you can put all these also under B category. That is up to you. That flexibility is completely up to the industry practices, because here they are more closer. Here the difference is more. So logically, taking that to the C category will work out, right? But here, since there is a clear difference, huge difference in the value, so it is very clear that these two have to belong to A category. The rest of it, here again, you can simply put this alone in B category, since that is a moderate value. And here, since the difference is closer by, you can take all these also to C category. That also can be done. So right from your brake, your belt, everything can be put under C category, and this bushes alone can sit under B category also. Just for you to understand how much value that product is contributing towards the overall value of the entire product line, and fixing up the percentage, so that for A category items, you will have very strict control. Then again, going back to your safety stock and working out, you will accordingly fix up the safety stock level, 5%, 2%, 3%, because more value is going to get locked here if you are going to increase the inventory level of these A category items. Okay. So you prefer to have very strict control. You will frequently replenish the inventory. That is, most of them will fall under the cycle inventory. We also were talking about the safety stock and anticipation stock. All these you will work out very rigorously for A category item. Not so much for the B or C category item. In fact, C category item, you will prefer to hold more inventory, since bulk buying is going to ensure you more discount percentages. So that is the reason why we are classifying the items based on the value. High value item, strict control over inventory, less inventory also. C, that is low value item, C category items, you can prefer or you can afford also to have more inventory levels, right? So that is the ABC classification. Based on the value of the product, you will be doing ABC classification. Is it clear? So along with yesterday's Excel workout, I can share these Excels also to you. Okay, fine. So this is very simple. The purpose of ABC classification is this: understanding the value of the product so that you can ensure very strict control over the inventory. Okay, going back to our slides. Fine. After ABC classification, yes, we have one more type of classification. We call it as VET classification: vital, essential, and desirable. This also most probably you will be doing for the spares and components. Yes, obviously any of these classification can be done for retail or any other FMCG sector also. But then these are more beneficial, prevalent when it is done for the manufacturing sector. So nothing but the components which are very, very vital for the functioning or existence, which are essential and which are desirable. Like vital components are very highly important. So for example, an engine for a car is very, very vital. Without engine, so it is not going to function also. Obviously, that is essential also. So essential AC. AC in a car is essential. That is not vital for the performance of the car. For the car to run, AC is not vital. But then with the surrounding climate to avoid pollution and all that, so we feel AC in the car is very, very essential now. So now got the difference between vital and essential components. So that's how you classify. So desirable, it is optional, having a music system in a car, having infotainment facility in a car. So that is desirable, completely desirable. Based on your requirement, you will go with that. Having a screen, or maybe a small TV monitor for the backseat passengers. All these are desirable. Any additional value-added features in a car are going to be desirable for you. Right. So we'll see this example also. Mobile phone in a mobile showroom is a very, very vital item. Obviously, you go inside a mobile showroom to buy a mobile only. And there, even if mobile accessories are also available, that is essential product because that goes along with the mobile. When you buy a mobile, immediately what we do next is buying a cover for your mobile, right? Any other mobile accessories. So that becomes essential and very crucial there. Desirable is you go, you buy a selfie stick, a tripod. So these are desirable. Not every customer are going to buy these products. So what a mobile showroom owner will do is, obviously he need to have more stock for mobile phones. Equally, maybe less, or it depends on the variants also or the preferences also. Moderately important is your mobile phone covers and other accessories, which are essential to be maintained as inventory level or stock, or at least these items, mobile phones are going to be high valued product. Those are sales of that is going to be a major proportion for your revenue and not the accessories. Maybe that will contribute only to a lesser proportion. You may tell them that you can fetch it for them the next time they come. So something like that, it can be postponed also. Desirable is completely yes. Even if you say it's not available, they are not going to get disappointed. A tripod or a selfie stick and all that. Either they will come next time and buy with you, or else they may look in for another stores also. That is not at all a problem. So that is this type of classification is called as vital, essential, and desirable. There is no specific calculation technique or method. By the product's functionality, it is understood whether it is a vital, essential, or desirable. But then here the problem is, we did ABC classification for a car manufacturer. And if we are doing the same BED classification for the car manufacturer, you tell me the car keys, right? The keys with which we open the car. Under which category will they come if we are going to do BED classification? Essential, vital, right? So without that, we can't open the car, you can't drive it. The rest of all the facilities will go in vain if we are not able to open the car. So mostly, imagine without car, you can't open the, without keys, you can't open the car. So very, very vital. Push start stop available. So nowadays it is available. Otherwise, even in spite of that, if you lose a car key immediately, so temporarily you can just manage, but still you go and prefer to have another key. So either it comes under a vital component or an essential component. But when you do ABC classification for same category of all these parts for a car manufacturer, where will car key go and sit as per the value? Yes, C category. You are right, Jyotishma. C category because the value of the product is very, very less. But the relative importance on the performance of the product is very high when you do VED classification. So this is the gap in classifying the inventory. So some components will be very, very vital or essential for the performance of the product, but may not be of very high value when you do the ABC classification. So that means ultimately we are forced not to stick on with any one classification technique of inventory alone, because that may not give us better results. Imagine, remember yesterday's session, we worked out time series and regression. Then we understood which is proving better results. Then we took up the model. So likewise, even in inventory classification, it becomes very crucial for us to understand with method or on which logic am I going to classify my inventory, and that is going to fetch me better results. Here in this car key, that is, you better do VED classification, because there, even if you do ABC classification for the car key, it sits under the C category. There is no point or purpose on procuring more number of car keys than the number required. Nuts and bolts, a different case or different scenario, because that will go with any set of car. But car key is not that case. So it is better you do VED classification for them as far as car key is concerned, right? So again, ultimately, you can't sit doing inventory classification under different heads for different components that goes inside the same finished product. Ultimately, you need to go with one single methodology. But then as per your industry practices, you need to understand which one is going to fetch you better results, right? So that is how we do VED classification. Here, basically, how vital or essential or desirable that product is for the overall functioning. So based on that, you classify. And vital items, highly important, you need to have more inventory. And here, vital items may be a high value item also. But there in ABC classification, we saw that A category items, high value items, you need to have lesser inventory and you need to have strict control. But here, vital, when you classify mobile phone under vital item, which is very highly important, then you need to have more number of mobile phones in your showroom. Because that is the USP, that is the pulling factor for your mobile showroom. You need to have more number of inventory. So that is that. So towards end, I will also tell you how using two classification techniques we need to arrive at inventory levels. Okay. This is again a VED classification for a new apartment complex, how vital and essential and desirable are the factors under classification, right? No Excel classification given for this. Yes. Moving further, after ABC and VED, we have FSN analysis. FSN is nothing but fast moving, slow moving, and non-moving inventory. So whenever we say about fast moving, slow moving, non-moving, so you obviously can relate that to a finished product. That is more relevant when such analysis is done for a finished product rather than a raw material or rather than a production facility setup. Okay, that is how we have to zero in that this classification technique will be more appropriate for this particular sector or function. Fine. So this is fast moving, slow moving, and non-moving items. So most preferably should be a finished product. So what is that? After you classify, I'll tell you how this has to be classified. After you classify, what you will do? Fast moving items, you stock in bulk because it is fast moving. Ask Amazon or Flipkart, any e-commerce companies for that matter, whichever item is fast moving, they will have more in stock. Their inventory turnover ratio also will be very high for that product line. So some products have has 30% inventory turnover ratio also in their bucket list. So those items are very, very, maybe mobile phones. When a sale is announced, Great Indian Festival or Big Billion Day or festive season, Independence Day sale, they see to that when they are announcing more discounts towards any specific category of product, they'll also see to that that product's inventory is more in number. That is going to be a fast moving one. So stock in bulk, slow moving item, obviously, since it is slow moving, how long, what is the duration it takes to move off the shelf? Based on that, have a limited quantity. Everything again will come from the safety stock, which we will see towards the later slides. Then non-moving items, try to get rid of that inventory. That is not going to help you out at all. So you need to check how long that inventory is bothering you, that is there lying in the shelf. So should you get out of that totally, or should you still prefer to have or afford a little level of inventory? Outdated models, outdated technology, pager. So no more. And the camera, with the old camera, flash camera with the, what is that? The film roll. So all these have become completely redundant, no more into use. So if you are a store having camera, so that is a non-moving inventory which you have to completely get rid of. Or else if that is becoming an antique piece, any preference is there, anybody is going to come and ask you, so maybe you can prefer to have very less inventory of 1 or 2 pieces. So that is how you have to calculate, right? So this is the industry standards I have given here. So fast moving, inventory turnover which has more than 3%, they are considered to be fast moving. Between 1 and 3% as per industry standard, they are considered to be slow moving inventory, and less than 1, it is considered to be a non-moving inventory. So how should we classify this? How should we do this classification, right? Based on two aspects, we do FSN classification: fast, slow, and non-moving. Based on the average stay of the product in the shelf, how long the product stays in the shelf. Shorter the period, it is considered to be fast moving. And how quickly they are consumed. So more consumption of that product, it is considered to be fast moving. So both are extreme ends. So average stay should be less and consumption pattern should be high. If the product matches both these criteria, then they are considered to be fast moving items. So based on these two, we can either any one of them or these two put together, we can calculate whether the product is fast, slow, or non-moving. So how to do that? Average stay you have to calculate by dividing cumulative number of inventory holding days, that is number of period, by total quantity of items received plus whatever you had as the opening balance. So consumption rate you have to identify with total issue quantity divided by the duration, the period, total period duration. I will show you an example with that you will better understand. Sorry, that was my mistake. Fine. Okay, so this is a scenario given. Following is an analysis of an SKU. One, period of analysis is 15 days. Calculation of consumption rate and average stay of the material in the inventory has to be done. Opening balance is 50. So for the 15 days, the data is given, right, for an SKU, and the receipt on daily basis is given, the returned items on daily basis, and what is issued and what is the closing stock. Opening balance already is given as 50. So what is the cumulative inventory holding days? So this is already as the opening balance, taking that, and opening balance end of the day, that is the closing balance. So this is the receipt. Day 1, no, nothing is being received. So day 2, 15, and you have returned 1, issued. So closing balance is 66, and add that to the inventory holding days. So you will get cumulative, right? These two added 116. Likewise, you are doing for all the products based on the data given and coming out with the inventory holding days, 965. So calculate this and keep. So this is a given figure. So you need not to worry about that. So with that, we are going to calculate the average stay and the consumption rate. So the average stay formula says that the cumulative number of inventory holding days divided by the total quantity received plus opening balance. Cumulative number of inventory holding days we calculated as 956. Okay, take that 956. Total quantity received was 60. So this is what we have received in all these 15 days, and the opening balance that was given was 50. So do that. 956 divided by 60 plus 50. So 8.69 is the average stay of that material for all those 15 days. Okay. So likewise, you need to do for n number of products that is there lying in your SKU. For this specific product, we have calculated average stay as 8.69. So let us also calculate the consumption rate, that is total issue quantity by total period duration. Your total issue quantity was what? So 65. How much is what was consumed on all these 15 days? It is 65 units, and the duration is 15 days. For 15 days we have taken. So 4.33 is the consumption rate. 4.33 times the product has been consumed in all this 15 days time. So 8.69 days it was staying in the shelf, and 4.33 times it was consumed in the given duration of 15 days. So we have calculated this and kept. So now after this, we'll go to the Excel workout. Okay, so hope you all can see my Excel sheet. Okay, fine. So can you all see my FSN analysis page? Right. Okay, fine. See that average stay and consumption rate calculation? Yeah, okay. Thank you all of you. Consumption we did for one product, right? So in the PowerPoint slide, I was showing you how to calculate average stay and consumption rate for one single product for 15 days, given the data for 15 days. So likewise, imagine we are doing for n number of products. So here I have taken, for example, 10 items. Okay. For 10 items, the same way, whatever we have done for item 1, for all the other 10 items, it has been calculated, average stay and consumption rate for 10 items. So let us take one by one. First, let us calculate with average stay. So now put the item code, see, yeah, take the average stay. Here what I am doing is like what we did in the ABC analysis. Here too, I am taking the highest average stay item and going to the lowest average stay. So the item codes will differ based on the average stay of the respective item. So from 12.5 to 4.6, I have rearranged the data. So from that again, we are going to calculate the cumulative average stay. Okay, so total average stay of all the items put together, right? So that is the cumulative average stay. So 93.2 days for all the 10 items put together, and percentage cumulative average stay is the contribution of that specific item towards the total cumulative average stay. So here I'm calculating that. Okay, take okay. So here take the cumulative average stay of item 105, that is H3, divided by the total cumulative stay, that is here it is H12, multiplied by 100, because we wanted to find out the percentage of that item towards the overall items. So 13.69 percentage. So you calculate for all the items accordingly and keep. So likewise, right? For every item, what is the percentage stay towards the total number of cumulative stay for all the items. So you will get this. And here, this is the standards. So more than 90 percentage on average stay, so that is considered to be fast moving. 50% to 89 percentage on average stay, they are considered as slow moving, and lesser than 50 percentage, they are considered as non-moving item. So based on that, you can feed the formula also. So otherwise, there are very limited number of items, so it has been made manually. So these 4 items having item code 105, 4, 6, and 3 are considered to be non-moving item, because they are having or contributing towards lesser than 50 percentage of the average stay of all the overall items towards the average stay, right? And these items, so as per the given standards, here too, like what I said for ABC analysis, this percentage you can minimize or maximize. So instead of 90 percentage, if you want and upgrade that category to 95 percentage, you want to expand this category from 45 to 95 percentage, and this category below 45 percentage, that is up to you. You can do it. So plus or minus 5 or 10% as per the industry practices and standards. So this range can be extended or contracted, that can be done. Fine. So now, based on the average stay, we have found out to which category does that product belong to. Either if you are maybe distribution center, right? You can go only with average stay, how long the product is staying there in the distribution center. Lesser the duration, it is always better. So more the duration, you need to rethink on stocking the level or minimize the stock level. You can go with that. Otherwise, if it is a retail outlet, how quickly the product is being consumed. Obviously, if it is more consumed, it is going to stay for less number of days in the shelf, right? Both you can do, or else you can go with any one single method also. Here I have done both the cases. Now let us see for the same item codes, we take the consumption rate and same logic again, the highest consumption rate first to the lowest consumption rate for different item codes. Then again same cumulative average consumption rate, added, you come to a cumulative figure for all the 10 items. Then do the same percentage, calculate the same percentage of that item towards all the item. You will get a percentage here. And here the range is the reverse. More than 90%, it is considered to be a non-moving item because for more days it is there showing in this shelf. It has not been consumed. So that means it is a non-moving item. Then 50 to 89%, it is a slow-moving item. And again, less than 50%, it is a fast-moving item because it stays for a shorter period in the shelf and it is consumed more number of times. So it is a fast-moving item. So that is where you fix up your fast, slow, and non-moving based on the percentage allocation. And finally, surprisingly, the same item based on average stay and the consumption rate may not come or fit under the same category. Some pilferages will always be there. So if an item based on the average stay, it says it is a slow moving item, and based on the consumption rate, it is told us, it reveals that it is a non-moving item, then go with the upper one, that is the higher suggestion. Consider that as a slow moving item, because from the workout also we understood, that is a simulation workout also we understood, it is better to hold certain inventory rather than to go in for stock out position. So considering that logic, we are categorizing that item under a slow moving item and not a non-moving item. For example, in a departmental store, right, there is rat poison. So rat killer or rat poison, right? Very, very rarely consumed item. You still keep that. So if based on the average stay, so it will be there in the shelf for a longer period of time. So for consumption rate will be very, very less. Duration will be more. Consumption rate will be very, very less compared to all the other items consumed in your stores. But then here in this case, most probably also, you can still plan to remove that totally from your list so that you are minimizing the non-moving items totally. But then what happens when you do such exercises? Some of your slow moving items, when you do this calculation of efficient analysis, will deliberately go and sit under the non-moving items if you are going to remove the non-moving items completely from your list. So who knows, suddenly there may be a cleaning process in the nearby neighborhood happening, so which was a playground then, and more rats which were prevailing there has entered all the household. And one fine day, suddenly the demand spikes up for the rat poison and rat mesh and all that, whatever it is. Fine. So that has to be predicted. Again, that goes with the forecasting, that has to be predicted. And that is why certain category of items, for the sake of holding those items in your retail unit or your bucket list, has to be held under the non-moving item. But then there are scenarios where you can take a decision of totally removing that when the model itself has got exhausted. Like I told you, right? Camera with the film roll, that is totally exhausted. Nobody is using that. Even if the camera is available, film roll may not be available. Even if the film roll is available, the person who develops that, the technology might have got outdated. He may not be possessing that. So such scenarios, such items, you can consider totally discarding them from your list, moving that non-moving item. But then in certain category of items, you still can consider to hold very, very little or minimum level of inventory as a non-moving item. Otherwise, you have a threat of few of your, see, imagine these two items are totally not there. Then you are doing FSN analysis. And based on this percentage allocation, so few of your slow moving items will go and sit in the non-moving item. But you as a retailer or a shopkeeper will take a decision that these are non-moving items, I should not hold inventory at all. But then there may be demand for that product. People may come and ask you, tell me that item. What happened? Sanitizers, masks and all that. Never before pandemic I have used sanitizer in my life. But all of a sudden, from a non-moving item, it got escalated to the level of fast-moving item, not even slow-moving item. The demand surged to a greater extent for such category of items. So that is where your demand forecasting is going to help you out in planning your inventory levels. Got it? So simple only, simple classification technique only, but the decision what we are going to take out of this result matters a lot. Inventory decision, right? Shall we go back to the slide? So here the rule is fast moving items, more inventory, slow moving inventory, slow moving items, moderate inventory, non-moving item, very little or no inventory at all. Okay, fine. Right. The last analysis, that is the classification, is XYZ analysis. So from the name, it is understood that X items have regular demand, Y items strong variability in demand, Z items very, very irregular demand. So this is generated out of the customer's requirement. Your fast moving, slow moving also is the outcome of how the customer purchases. But here it is directly customer centric based on the changes that is happening in the market situations. You understand that X item which has a regular demand, like any of your milk products, dairy product, whatever happens, the demand is going to be there. Here value doesn't matter. A milk packet may be a 40 or 50 rupees item only in your retail stores. You will be having much more valued item. But then this is having a very, very regular demand. So you need to focus on very high levels of inventory. And here the inventory also is not going to stay back. It is going to get replenished, a cycle inventory. It is going to go on and on and on. But Y items, there is a very strong variability in demand. Most of your seasonal items come under this category. Maybe your umbrella or maybe your cool drinks, your juices, your ice creams. So items which have seasonal demand. Greeting cards during the festive season. So now nobody is using greeting cards. For example, crackers during Diwali season or else cakes during Christmas season. So these items has strong variability in demand. Even your restaurants has more demand during weekends, and during weekdays there are very less demand. So there is a very strong cyclic demand. So oscillations are there. Very strong variability in demand is there. The reason may be anything. Maybe due to the climate change in climate conditions. Maybe due to seasonality. Maybe due to the trend, a change in fashion. New celebrity, famous celebrity endorsing a new product. So there may be a sudden spike in demand. So there is a great or strong variability in demand, fluctuation in demand. So they are categorized under Y. And highly irregular demand. Projector screens. So TVs, you know that there is a regular demand, and strong variability in demand. 65 inches, 75 inches LED TV. So only those who can afford for that will go for that. So there is a strong variability in demand. And projector screens, very, very irregular. So only maybe the university setup, the college setup, households, very few will buy a projector. So there is a very, very irregular and difficult to predict demand for such category of items. Okay, verbally we have seen and discussed that these are the items will fit under this category. But logically, how we need to arrive. Okay, I will again show you an Excel workout for this. Okay, hope you all can see my Excel sheet. Fine. Okay, thank you. Right. So here again, I have taken 10 product categories, right? and maybe take, for example, FMCG sector, a retail outlet or unit. Fine, product one, and the sales for the product one for 7 months is being given here. And likewise for 10 product lines, 7 months sales figure is being given here. 10 different product lines. So if I need to do XYZ classification of inventory, right? So what should I do? So for XYZ classification of inventory, I need to understand the standard deviation. Standard deviation and based on the average sales that has happened. Okay, this is the formula. You all, it is there in the system itself. So standard deviation of B3 to H3 divided by the average of B3 to H3. So because here I'm finding out the strong variability in demand, and that is the reason why I'm doing standard deviation unlike the previous one of average day of consumption rate. Because why there is a demand variability? To understand that, I'm doing standard deviation. So once you do standard deviation, you will find out this coefficient variation of this respective products. For every product, you can find out how much it varies, compared to the overall product percentage. For all the products put together, how much is the coefficient variation for that product. So once you get this percentage, directly you have again the standards. 0 to 10 percentage of coefficient variation. So that is stable demand. Only 10 percentage the demand varies or fluctuates. So lesser the coefficient variation. So you can understand that there is a stable demand. It is not going to drastically change. 10 to 25 percentage variation, then there is a moderate variation in demand. It may be a seasonal product or it may be bought, but not regularly. So once in a while, like a LED bigger television, 65 inches, 55 inches. So compared to 40 inches, 55 and 65 inches are bought less in number, right? Many households prefer to have 40 or 42 inches. So this will come under that category. There is variability in demand, but not much, 10 to 25% variability. Then the next category is more than 25 percentage, very, very high or irregular demand. So once you find this out, this you will find out based on the sales that has happened in the previous month, find out the coefficient variation, and based on this category, this again, like I tell for the other models also, this slab you can design. So 0 to, instead of 0 to 10%, you can keep it as 0 to 12% or 0 to 15%. Then you can extend this up to 15 to 25 percentage. Then more than 25 percentage or even more than 20 percentage, you can feel that they have irregular demand. This again depends on the industry belong to. If you are doing this for a retail stores, right? You have multiple number of products. So there you need to be very careful on allotting this range. So you can still bring this down to 0 to 5 percentage also. 0 to 5 percentage of items, very stable demand. So you will have more inventory. What items will come under that category? Your essentials, your daily use products like dairy products and all that, your bakery products like bread. So during pandemic, we had acute shortage for breads also. So likewise, so any seasonal change, climate change, everybody is falling sick. So that is an indicator for your increase in bread sales or bakery item sales. So accordingly, you need to change this percentage. Not that no hard and fast rule, you fix up this percentage. Always you need to stick on to this fixed percentage also. So maybe periodically you can alter this percentage or range level also, right? So that is how your product one is an X category item which is having a stable demand because the coefficient variation is very, very less. If you see the sales overall from the sales perspective every month, if you see also, see, it doesn't fluctuate much. Marginally, the sales are also normal, equal every month. So here for other products, see, for product 15, for product 5, there is a high variance, right? So let us see, product 5, see, comes under Z category. So very, very irregular demand, very difficult to predict. So what you will do for such category of items is you will have very, very minimalistic stock. And that is what I said. maybe a rat poison, or maybe any niche item, which for the sake of having in your stores you need to have, demand is also very, very less. Inventory levels also will be very less, 1 or 2 units. Suddenly, if you see any spike in demand, immediately you need to cater to that situation. You need to find out solution, alternatives to bring items in and make the product available. Then automatically it will shift itself to the Y category, and from non-moving item to a slow moving category, item category. Okay. So this is about the XYZ classification. So isn't it easy? This is also fine. So ultimately categorizing or classifying these products under respective inventory categories is to fix up the inventory level. How are we going to? So we just have seen only the classification. How we are going to fix up this, the output on the safety stock. Safety stock calculation we'll do in the later slides. Only then for X category item, how much safety stock should be fixed. For Y category, for Z category, what is going to be the level of safety stock, you will better understand. Okay. So is that clear? All the classifications of inventory? Shall we move on to the rest of the concepts? Yeah. Thank you, Shashi. Right. So as I told you earlier also, there are gaps like in VED and ABC. So when I'm doing VED classification for a car key, it goes and sits under the vital category. But when I do ABC classification, it will come to C category. So these are the pitfalls. So no method or no classification technique can be standalone. So in certain times we need to do we need to take cross references. Even in forecasting, so we were seeing about the qualitative and quantitative. Yes, my brand is existing, my concern is already there, going entity. So Colgate Palmolive, already there into the business for hundreds of years, right? So if when they go in for new launch of a toothpaste with brick and salt, right? So there it is necessary or crucial for them to go in for market research. So here quantitative and qualitative goes hand in hand. So they cannot flourish or sustain independently or individually. In the earlier slides also we saw that the data for qualitative is inferred from quantitative, and so is the other way, vice versa also happens. So similarly in inventory classification also, for certain industries, it is fine to go with only one classification technique. Like for manufacturing sector, you go with ABC classification, that is well and good. So for a retail sector, sometimes what happens, you wanted to understand the value of stock that is getting locked. So you are having a pantaloons, right? A retail chain pantaloon. And you wanted to understand how much is the stock, value of the entire stock that is lying in your showroom. In that case, you need to do ABC classification, which will tell you the value of your capital invested. At the same time, from the sales or demand perspective, you wanted to understand which are the fast moving products. So there it becomes evident for you to either go with ABC plus XYZ or ABC plus FSN category. So together you will understand, and the results will tell you which type of or which level of inventory you should hold for a respective category of product, right? So that is what that is how we have to address the gaps in every classification techniques, whether it is ABC or VED or XYZ, whatever it is, right? I will, towards the end, I have kept that as an additional reading on how to combine ABC plus XYZ analysis, that I will tell you later. If time permits, we'll discuss in the class. Otherwise, I would suggest you to go and see that as the additional reading. Let us complete whatever is there planned for today, and then we'll take the additional ones, discuss the additional one. So now that we have done the classification of inventory, fine. Purpose of classifying the inventory is majorly to control my inventory, have control. So why we are classifying ABC? A high value item, that means I should have very strict control over my A category of item, since more capital is invested in my A category item. So for that, there are some inventory management tools which help me out to control my inventory. So what are the tools? So one, again, best method is the ABC analysis, which already we saw, classifying the items under A, B, and C category. So A category items, 80% of the value. So you will have very strict control. You will assign very less level of safety stock, designated level of safety stock. Again, that alone is not a criteria. You also need to consider the lead time it takes to arrive from your supplier and the demand from the customer. So together you need to come with the control mechanisms. So ABC is a classification tool as well as a control mechanism also for inventory. Very prominent one. Next is the MRP technique, material requirement planning. So once the production planning is done, the demand planning has given an indication to your production processes to go ahead with production. So 100 units of the product is in demand, or it is 100 units of the product is sold every week or every day. That means that much is the demand in the market. So you need to come back and produce 100 units every day to meet the demand. So that is where you plan the material requirement planning. What is the material required to produce 100 units of car or toothpaste or whatever it is? So accordingly, you will prepare the bill of materials, you will raise the order, you will plan your inventory, and you come out with a complete master production schedule. Okay. Fine, our coordinator has floated the feedback form. So either you can fill it now or towards the end of the session, you can do it, right? So your material requirement planning is a blueprint for your production plan, how that is like a blueprint of your master production schedule, MPS. So that will tell you how you have to roll out, how much you have to order, how many materials, raw materials you need to procure, how frequently you need to procure, what should be the frequency of your order, and every fortnight if I'm going to make an order to my supplier, how much, what is the number of units I should place as an order. So everything your material requirement planning is going to tell you. So the output is going to be the raising purchasing order, purchase orders, POs, and material planning, work orders, reports, preparing reports. All these are going to be the output of your material requirement planning. So input is always the orders you get from the customer end, preparing the bill of material required to produce that product, what should be the level of inventory. With all these inputs, with the forecasting results, with all these inputs, you will prepare your material requirement planning and then go as the float this as the output. So once you are clear that to produce 100 units of the finished product, what is the material I require? So 100 units plus my marginal safety stock. So that is where you will have control mechanism. So if 100 units of product is only going to be produced, what is the point in having 200 units as inventory? So your material requirement planning will tell you very clearly what is the exact level of production or number of production you're going to do, and how accordingly you need to plan your inventory, right? That is again one management tool, inventory management tool. The next one is a very famous and familiar just-in-time technique. So you know that 100 units are going to be produced. If you have very well planned system, you have a vendor managed inventory, you have your suppliers closer by, how Toyota has done that. So they didn't have 0 days of inventory, right? So they had whatever, if 512 orders of car were given, 512 raw materials only were procured. See number, as per the number it goes inside. Set of raw materials only were procured from the suppliers. Not a single excess inventory was kept with them. So because their major focus was to minimize the inventory, because they didn't have enough capital or technology in the earlier days. So that is how, and that is why they were forced to go and invent such technologies of just-in-time, Kaizen, Kanban, so you name anything, lean production, everything. That is because of the requirement or you were left with no option, so you had to come out with alternative mechanism. So just in time is a very, very popular inventory control mechanism. But always having just in time practice may not be possible. You need to ensure that your suppliers are closer by. So if you are a car manufacturer, right? So your tire supplier or tire manufacturer is your tier 1 supplier. The rubber manufacturer is a supplier for your tire manufacturer. So he becomes tier 2 supplier for you and tier 1 supplier for your tire manufacturer. So if any problem or any strike that going on with the rubber manufacturer is going to indirectly affect your production also, not only the tire manufacturer. So if you are going with just-in-time techniques, methodology, so you need to ensure your complete supply chain is performing well without any problems or hindrances. So that is it is so very easy to say that any or suggest companies to go in for just-in-time technique, but then when it comes to practicality and applications into real life context or concepts, it is very difficult. Fine, you need to ensure all these things are being done. You need to eliminate defect, waste, and how you need to balance the flow and the output of your material as well. Multi-skilled labors are required and extreme technology support is required. So now with the digitalization of the technology, with the sophisticated ERP systems, to major extent just in time is possible, but still the external factors like the infrastructure, any strike that is going on, the fuel price increases, and the truck owners association strike, any natural calamities, these could be a threat for your just-in-time practices. So accordingly, you need to plan, but then this is one of the very popular and suggested inventory management and control tool for any business function. The next one is the drop shipping. Drop shipping is a concept where when you order, this is more prevalent to the e-commerce sector, right? You order something, the customer orders something. So me as a customer sitting in Chennai, I'm ordering something, a sari in an online platform, and my seller is at Surat, right? Instead of maybe I'm ordering this in a Myntra platform, right? The distribution or the fulfillment center is there at Nagpur or Bangalore. Keep it as Bangalore. So instead of the seller sending it to the distribution center and then from the distribution center to me, the seller drop ships directly to the customer to avoid wastage of time as well as transportation and logistics cost, the warehousing cost, then that is called as drop shipping. Fine. So this also is one of the inventory management tools. So instead of the inventory or the stock being sent to the distribution center, so you do all the documentation processes and all that, and then it is being sent, the logistics cost, the storage cost, everything is mounting up. So they resort in for the drop shipping concept. Yeah, Bata follows this method nowadays. Fine. Many of our e-commerce companies does this, the drop shipping. So whenever you go in for online method, so the aggregators ensure, see to that they are going or doing this drop shipping practices also. It is not again so very easy because having control, especially with respect to quality, having quality control over the products being delivered is a Herculean task, right? So because if I get a defective sari, my face is Amazon. So I'm going to blame Amazon only and not the seller. So it is very difficult for the brand to face such scenarios. Yes, the other side, they are saving a lot of cost, especially logistics cost when they are doing the drop shipping activity. But so that is why to go in for this drop shipping methodology, you need to be a supplier for them for a longer period of time. So what is your experience in the industry? What is the quality of your product? Everything will be checked. Actually, Starbucks, to become a supplier for Starbucks, there is a stringent processes which they follow. So a lot of criteria which they have to fulfill. Not only that, the employee welfare mechanisms also has to be followed same as what Starbucks does by their suppliers also. Nike does that. So it is very difficult to ensure quality control over this function, but still, since it is saving too much of cost, they are going for this. And inventory drastically swing, almost we can say zero inventory at the aggregator level. So I hold no inventory. I'm just facilitating, being an aggregator, I'm facilitating movement of product from the seller to the buyer. So much of cost is being saved in the name of inventory. So that is again an inventory management tool. Then we have EOQ, that is economic order quantity. My safety stock will tell me how much to stock or hold at a point of time. My economic order quantity will tell me how much should I order. Yes, what should be my safety stock? For producing 100 units of product per day, 5 units are going to be my safety stock. So that 5 units along with this normal requirement 105. So how am I going to order? Economic order quantity. How much should I order? How much should I order will come based on the frequency of my order. How frequently am I going to order? Am I going to order every day, or I'm going to order fortnightly or monthly? So that will be decided by my economic order quantity. More you will understand better when I show you the calculation of this economic order quantity. By now, just understand this economic order quantity will tell you how much you should order, place order for every order. What is the threshold? Below that, it is going to be waste because you are incurring holding costs. See, it syncs with the LTL and FTL shipment, full truckload and less than truckload. Obviously, when you go in for a full truckload, the per unit cost of per product or sending that product is going to come down. Scale economies, right? Economies of scale. But when you go in for less than truckload, the per unit cost is going to go high because you are occupying only part truckload. So the documentation, the processing, the loading and unloading, everything is going to increase. So that is why it is preferable to go in for full truckload. But then when I do not have a stock, so I cannot go for that. I need to go for, I can't wait for longer period also for me to get enough stock so that I can utilize the full truckload. Not possible. So my economic order quantity will tell me how much at every order, what is the minimum, most bare minimum, or else I can put it as optimum level, which is the optimum level of order I should make per order. Okay, that with the calculation we will understand. Finally, it is the safety stock. What is that level of extra stock I should maintain to meet the demand and ensure continuous production of my assembly line? Okay, so as I told you, the safety stock is being calculated considering the demand from the customer and the lead time. The lead time may be the supplier lead time, the production lead time, or the customer lead time. It can be any lead time, but with respect to the function I am doing, so I need to calculate the demand and the lead time to arrive at the safety stock. So that also I will tell you how to calculate. So these are all the inventory management tools, because if you are going to go hit a blind shot, it is not like a kitchen, like your mother's kitchen, wherein she will see to that, yes, if I have 1/4 of the bottle pulses left, so that is the time I need to replenish the stock, safety stock. Just, it is like a mental calculation we do. So logically, we do not arrive at the figure. This will work out in a household. But then when it comes to an industry or a business parlance, this is not going to work out. So I need to very clearly specify that when my stock, when to which level when it touches, should I go in for reordering? How much should I order? So all these comes out of a calculation. So that is what safety stock also tells us. So let us see how to derive the safety stock with an example, right? So you all know it is an extra stock that is preserved by business to minimize the risk of a shortfall. So suddenly there is a more demand, and every day I am procuring, maybe every fortnight I am procuring some 2,000 units to meet 20 days production. So every day 100 units. And suddenly, as I told you, there is a strike going with the rubber factory. So my tire supply is being hindered. So what will I do? So that is where, to meet that, at least till I get another supplier for that, I need to face the crisis situation. So for that, my safety stock gives me handy situation. Not only that, it also some defective products will be there, some repair will be there, something you may drop down and you may break something. So to meet all these things, your safety stock is very, very crucial. How to calculate that? It is nothing but maximum daily usage minus average daily usage multiplied by lead time. If these two factors are not given separately, then your daily usage multiplied by your lead time. Lead time is the time taken by your supplier to supply that raw material to you. So you will have the safety stock. Okay. So suppose you are based in a cool climate and manufacturing jackets. Your plant is located in one place and your customer base in throughout other places, and it takes nearly 20 days of lead time for them to arrive from one place to another. This is the customer lead time here. Okay, on average you sell 100 jackets, but the maximum daily usage is 110 units, right? This is the given scenario. This is given. So based on that, let us arrive what is going to be the safety stock for this jacket. How much should I hold? Okay, this is customer. From the customer end, this is generated, right? So maximum daily usage is 110 as given, minus average daily usage is 100 jackets you sell, multiplied by lead time. Lead time is 20 days lead time to reach the retail unit or customer selling point. So multiply that, 10 into 20 is 200 units. So 200 units of safety stock you should hold, since the lead time is going to be 20 days. Okay. Then when you should place order, how frequently you should place order, I will tell you later in the next workout. But this is the safety stock calculation. So 200 units of jackets. So this will act as a cushion against any fluctuation in demand, because the average maximum daily usage sometimes is 110. So you need to ensure that there is no denied sale or stock out position. So you have to consider the lead time into calculation, and then you come out and arrive at 200 units. 200 units at any point in time you should hold as a stock, since the lead time is 20. If the lead time is going to come down to 10, then 10 into 10, it is going to be 100 units. If the lead time is going to come down to 5 days, right, then 10 into 5, it is just 50 units you should hold as a safety stock. So as the lead time minimizes, you also can minimize the safety stock to a greater extent. But on the contrary, demand also, if the demand increases, again your safety stock will increase, right? That was about the safety stock. So I also was telling you about the economic order quantity. That is how much. So how much should be ordered at a point in time. So it refers to the optimum quantity below which it is going to be. If my economic order quantity says that ordering 100 units is going to be beneficial, that is the optimum level. If I place 90 units of order, so that means I'm compromising with the cost, because ordering cost is there, holding cost is there. If I include all the cost, if I order lesser than the suggested level of order, then it is a loss for me. So that is where I have to consider economic order quantity also. So this will help avoid overspending in an item, minimize the ordering and holding cost associated with it. So since there are multiple costs associated in ordering an item, I need to ensure that I'm ordering the optimum level only always. So the importance of this is to minimize waste and also the stock up, and very helpful in case of multiple products. So how will I know? So even in the car example or in the retail unit example, how will I know which category of item, how much I should order? So either I should do my XYZ analysis, understanding the demand of the product. So X item which is having very high demand, then accordingly I need to fix up the economic order quantity, right? So while doing that economic order quantity, I need to consider two aspects. So demand is always there, which has to be considered. Beyond demand, it is the ordering cost and holding cost, because every time you make an order, the processing cost, the PO purchase order, the bill of material, the MRP, everything has to be calculated, which will incur an ordering cost. Holding cost is the cost that you will incur to carry the inventory. So transportation, loading and unloading, all these will be part of your holding cost. So that also you need to consider. So let us see what is the formula for, this is a very, very well-known formula. Square root of 2 demand into S here is the ordering cost divided by H here is the holding cost. So annual demand multiplied by the ordering cost, that is ES, divided by the holding cost will give you the economic order quantity. So for example, annual sales of cars is 6,000 units. So ordering cost per order is 300 USD. So ordering cost, they might have calculated and kept note to pursue single order, how much does it cost. So you will be knowing the ordering cost. And holding cost, that includes your transportation, carrying inventory and all that, that is incurring 50 USDs per order, right? So how you have to calculate EOQ is square root 2 into the 6,000, that is the demand. Sales or demand, that is going to be the same, 6,000 multiplied by your, what is that, ordering cost? 300, it is the ordering cost per order. It is not per unit here, it is per order. 300 divided by holding cost per order. Okay, again 50. So 268 units. So for the annual sales of 6,000 cars, I need to, my economic order quantity is 268 units. So every time when I place an order, it should be for 268 units, and that is the ideal number of order. So less than that, if I'm placing, that is going to be, anyway, this ordering cost and holding cost are going to be the same. So why should I waste my ordering or holding cost by placing lesser order, right? So 268 unit is the economic order quantity. But then here the question is, 268 unit is fine, but how frequently I should place this order? So that is where, which will be addressed in the reorder point. Okay. Now safety stock, sorry, economic order quantity, you understood using the formula how you have to place order for this much of demand on having this ordering cost, and holding cost will be suggested or given by the industry. And with that, you need to include your demand or sales, and you will arrive at this figure, right? This is about the economic order quantity. So having understood this, yes, again, one more calculation I have given on economic order quantity. This is also similar to that. You can go through. Here, this I wanted to tell you. Okay, so here 268 units I need to order. So that is going to be the optimum order size for every order. But when should I order? So my EOQ answers how much to order, and my reorder point tells me when I should order. How frequently should I order? Is it 268 units once in a month, or once in a week, or once in 15 days? When should I order? That I will know through my reorder point. So my reorder point will be calculated based on the demand per day. Again, the lead time will come here. The lead time for the new order in days. So that means demand multiplied by lead time, and you will get the demand by dividing demand by number of working days in a year. So you will get the demand, actual demand. Fine. So the number of working days, if you calculate maybe 250 or 260 and all that. So what is the overall demand for the entire year? If it is going to be 6,000, divide that by the number of working days, you will get the figure. So that is going to be the demand for you, and multiplied by the lead time. What is the lead time taken here? So here, for calculating economic order quantity, your lead time is not required. But then for arriving at the safety stock, the lead time is there. If it is going to be 50 days lead time, 20 days lead time, 10 days lead time. So you need to multiply this demand, right? So this demand into the number of days, that is a lead time, 5 days or 10 days. And that will tell you what is going to be your reorder point, which level. Again, there is a workout for this also. Once again, I have given this in the additional reading, right? So this is the reorder level. Okay. This is a scenario. Company is determining frequency of orders for product A. So each product A costs $20. The annual carrying cost is $400 and the cost per order is $15. The company expects to sell 50 units of product A each month. It has also decided to maintain an average inventory level of 40 units. Find the EOQ. So EOQ, you all know, using that formula, we did that, right? So this is the ordering cost, average inventory, everything is done. So here coming to the reorder level. So if the average daily usage rate of the material is 50 units and the lead time is 7 days, then your reorder level is average daily usage rate multiplied by the lead time in days. That is the, either it is the demand or daily usage rate multiplied by the lead time. So here the average daily usage rate is given as 50 units. Multiply that by 7 days. So you will get 350 units. So that is the reorder level. When your stock touches 350 units, so that is the point where you have to reorder again, right? So that is the level when you have to place another order of the EOQ, what you have to. And see, when your stock touches 350 units, that indicates that you have to place another order. And your economic order quantity will tell you how much you have to place, maybe through 268 units or 350 units. So that is an indication you will tell. And this 350 units may be touched in a week or in 10 days or in 15 days also. So frequency of order, now we can't say, and there is not going to be uniform frequency also. In certain industries, once in every week or once in fortnight, they make a practice that they place another order. But that is not going to work out, or that is not going to be ideal if you want to have inventory control. So keep the threshold as your safety stock level. When your stock level touches the reorder level point, that is 350 or 250 or 300, based on this calculation, that is an indication for you to place a next order. And next order, how much you will place, your EOQ will tell you what is the optimum size of order. And all these were arrived based on the safety stock. What is your safety stock level? So all the three together combined, we saw now. That is the safety stock, economic order quantity, and reorder point when you have to order. Economic safety stock, how much stock you should hold. Economic order quantity, how much should you order, and reorder point, when you should order. So these 3 points will be addressed. And one more important aspect is the total cost of ownership. So that means every business revolves around the cost factor, okay? The revenue, what you are generating, and what is the cost you are incurring to generate that revenue. That is very, very crucial, especially in supply chain perspective. There are costs, there are high hidden costs, because your MRO, your transportation cost, your warehousing cost, that is the storage cost, all these are hidden costs which are going, or which are added along with the value of the product, but it is not visible. The car what we buy for 10 lakhs. So do you think, is it really worth 10 lakhs? No, not at all. Correct. You are right. It is not 10 lakhs at all, because more hidden cost, overheads, everything goes inside that. Otherwise, see, if it is the worth the value, the producer, that is the manufacturer, will go bankrupt, because he is incurring a lot of costs like procurement cost, supplier selection cost, material management cost, inventory holding cost, carrying cost. All these are intangible costs, but obviously this has to be added along with the cost of the product. Whether for cost or service, whatever it is. At least for product, you can do some justification, but for service, this becomes even more critical for you all to give the breakup of these costs and make the customer understand. But as a business entity, it is very, very crucial for you to come or derive this total cost concept. We call this total cost of ownership. This total cost concepts will tell you, will help you out which are the costs that is crippling you, which are the costs you are incurring, and where exactly you can minimize the cost. Obviously, all our inventory classification tools and techniques will suggest us where you need to minimize the inventory. And in turn, why we minimize inventory is to minimize the cost. And this total cost of ownership directly addresses that. So because it is a combination of all these costs, your initial cost, your cost of operation, cost of maintenance, as I told you, MRO, cost of downtime, shutdown. So how long you are shutting down, maybe for any other process, maybe a strike, maybe a maintenance, maybe a service required, anything. Cost of downtime, cost of production. So minus the remaining value only will give you the total cost of ownership. Okay, your disposal, again, reverse logistics, your disposal cost, your environmental cost, these costs also has to be added. Usually it is a tendency that we ignore the reverse logistics cost. We calculate till the last mile delivery from the supply chains perspective, and mostly ignored is the reverse logistics. 20% of the items are returned in Amazon, right? That keeps fluctuating. Not only in Amazon, I'm telling about the e-commerce platforms. Closer to 20% of items are being returned. They are breaking their head, finding ways how to bring this percentage down. And also in future, they are planning to impose a small penalty or a fine if you are a habituated returner, right? Reverse, since they are incurring reverse logistics. So these are the costs which has to be added and considered to bring out the total cost what you incur towards delivering the product or the service to the customer, right? So three main costs: acquisition cost, ownership cost, and post ownership cost. Like reverse logistics, the aspect we ignore is the after sales services. Now companies include that as a service. When they include this as a service package, when they sell the product, they need to create a provision and include that as in the total cost of ownership also. So because together all these costs contribute towards the total cost of ownership, right? Okay, so that's what we saw in today's session, starting from inventory, the types of inventory we understood, and we went to classify the inventory to have or to ensure control after the classification is being done. And four types we saw: ABC, VED, FSN, and XYZ. And we saw Excel workouts also on how exactly a product needs to be classified under the respective category. And then we saw about the safety stock, EOQ, and reorder level calculation. Finally ended with the total cost of ownership. And this is what I told you for ABC and XYZ analysis, how two product classification techniques can be combined together to come out with a better inventory management control mechanism. Okay, so this is what I have given as an additional reading. And in the Excel workout also, I have shown this as an additional reading. And once again, I will show the Excel workout also, after which we will wind up. So here is where using ABC and XYZ, not much complicated here, taking some product lines and the monthly sales. Okay, first doing and classifying them based on the respective classification we did for ABC. Do the ABC classification. Yeah. Sure, Nilesh. I will definitely share yesterday's Excel plus today's Excel. Both I will share with all of you. I will mail it to your coordinator. I will request her in turn to share with all of you. Yes, I will share. By today itself, I will share. Right? So do the ABC classification first. Okay, categorize accordingly, and then go for standard deviation, because here we wanted to understand XYZ. For XYZ, you remember we did this coefficient, right? Coefficient variation. What is the variability in demand that we are bringing in here? So for that product category, so maybe item 1 falls under A category and also has regular demand. So how it has to be treated? So A category item, that means high value item, but having very, very irregular demand. Like I told you, projector. If you take a projector screen, that is a very, very high value item. But when you see that from the XYZ analysis perspective, that may fall under the Z category, which has very high irregularity in demand. So classifying under this also will give you an idea. So how a high value item, which is very, very slow moving or which has very irregular demand, and how to calculate or fix up the inventory level for such category of products, right? Okay, okay, Nilesh, you are welcome. Fine, fine, yeah. Can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Definitely, yeah, Vijay. So please, yeah. So that's the forum where most of my scholars get connected to me. You are most welcome. Fine. So that's about today. So any doubt on today's session? So next week, again, last session, we'll have quiz. And we are going to see about, I think mine is Anandi K. Muralidharan, PhD. So that is my LinkedIn ID. Anandi K. Muralidharan, PhD, or Dr. Anandi K. Muralidharan, I suppose. Right. So far, any doubts? So yesterday after that, no, when I was doing the chart, very easily it came here. Somewhere in the cell, I have clicked on a wrong cell. So that's why the graph was not opening for me. So maybe in next class, when we will be doing the network optimization problems, if time permits, we'll go and do that problem once again, what we did there yesterday. Because after that, when I was doing the chat, it came very easily. Then I felt, okay, during the session, it didn't work out well. So we'll do that in the next session. Okay. So far, any doubt? And please, point to remember here is complete the trial run by today. So please spare some time, complete it by today so that you will have good time to do the final run. And here in this simulation, the final run scores only will be taken into consideration. Right? So don't miss that opportunity. Don't miss it out. Okay. Any doubts so far? Anything? Okay. One second. I will just paste it also here. 1 second. Okay. Yeah. That's the link. Yeah, sure. Okay. Fine. Have a nice week ahead and take nice rest today, but don't forget to play the simulation today. We meet next Saturday. Saturday or Sunday? Next Saturday, I suppose. And one more debriefing session we have. So till then, bye. Take nice rest. All the very best for your simulation and see you all next week. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye to all of you.